So, I think first of all, this has been one of the most meaningful presentations that I've listened to in a long, long time. So your meaningful communication has been a very meaningful presentation for us. You are an economist, you have a master's in finance, you also have an MBA, so you are a unique combination to be able to deliver these kind of insights that you have done. So on behalf of everybody here, first of all, let me thank you. And I think he deserves a huge round of applause.
Thank you very much.
We've got a couple of minutes, and I'm not going to go into details of your presentation because I think you did a fantastic job with that. My question is, if we look at what's happened in the media services business in the last 10 years, a lot of what we were doing today was either done by research agencies, which is getting the data, or the high-end analytics that you talk about, which was done by the consulting firms, the McKinseys, the BCGs, etc. Today, the presentation that you and your competitors make about crunching numbers, delivering insights, is something that was either work which either of them did. Now, while all that you presented is very interesting and of course useful, is there an economic model for the media services business in all that you talk about? Because this requires lots of investments and lots of monies to be put in conducting research, analyzing.
Yes.
So how does, this, all that you talk about, make economic sense from media agencies' business model point of view?
Okay.
So in nutshell, do clients pay you for all this?
Yeah, clients pay. They pay in different ways. They pay in the way of giving us their budgets, being more loyal to the company, and also having better fees. So I think that in this way we manage, from a pure media agency perspective, to decommoditize the market a little bit. Going to the economic model for media agencies, I think that what we're talking here is about the democratization of brands. And we believe that democratic systems are better, but are more expensive than tyrannies. I'm sure that, for example, the North Korean government is very cheap to handle. The results are awful. I'm sure that the cost of handling a government like the Indian one or like the Spanish one, where I'm coming from, the costs are higher, but also the results are much, much better. And this transition to building brands as a more democratic platform will require more investment. And in this investment, I think that clever agencies, no matter if they are creative, media, consulting, whatever, that help advertising to do this journey are going to be able to have a successful business model.
So you said it a couple of times that places like India, Brazil, China will lead the next, or can lead the next wave of marketing thinking.
Yes,
so in nutshell, what is this new wave of marketing thinking? And why do you think India is well poised in crisp?
Yeah, I think that the next wave of marketing and communication is about creating well-being in a tangible way. It's moving away from creating images and aspirations for something which are ethereal things to real solutions for people. And I think that the basis of the development of all the emerging economies is solving real people's issues. And that the customer base that we see in these countries, their approach and the relationship they have with brands is the one we're going to be seeing in the future in the Western economies. So I believe that the learning platform and the experience is going to be coming from these countries. That's one end. The second is about technology, as I said. Is this capacity of this type of countries to develop technological solutions combined with this capacity of creating well-being that will create a new wave of understanding and deploying and delivering brands.
Right. You talked about State Bank of India
Yes.
scoring very high.
Yes.
And banks all over the world are hated,
Yes.
especially in what has happened in the last 2-3 years.
Yes.
The Tatas is the other example. Are you saying that those kind of brands are more holistic brands because they don't see consumers as only means to gain profits, yes, but are more holistic, and is that the way forward?
I think that they are companies which are doing, that they are really doing this, while many of traditional banks, traditional Western banks in the case of banking, or car manufacturers are willing to make this happen. And this transformation is huge because it's coming from the DNA and operational system of the organizations. It's not something that you solve through an advertising campaign.
So finally, my last question, Havas Media, how do you see India? And I believe you have 300 people working for you all across the world, crunching numbers, looking at insights, getting data. How do you see India? How important is India today in your scheme of things? And can India become a hub for the kind of work that agencies are typically doing now, which is crunching a lot of data to deliver insights, which clients say, yes, I need that?
I think, of course, for the reasons I mentioned before, I really believe that India can become a hub. And a hub not only in terms of crunching and doing analytics, number crunching and doing analytics, but also being a hub in order to be able to, in some way, export Indian brands to other countries with their own DNA. It's getting the learnings that you have here on how to build brands and being able to help these brands to move abroad with this type of meaningful branding that here we see that it's in many cases a reality, and in many other countries is something that marketeers would love to have but are not able to deploy.
So on that positive note that India can actually, and your company is going to be playing an important role, Indian marketing thought process can actually become a global marketing thought process. On that note, we would end this session, but thank you once again very much for traveling all the way, half the globe, and delivering this very meaningful talk for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mehra, for an excellent exchange of thoughts.